My name is Einav Avni, and I'm an energy healer and alignment coach. This podcast, Healing Conversations for Anything Chronic, is all about the message and hope of healing yourself naturally. Today in the studio, I have someone I am so excited to introduce you to. Her name is Candace Silvers, and if you haven't heard about her yet, hold on, you will know everything. So I'm just gonna read your bio. And Candice, hi, I am so excited to have you here.
A pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you, thank you. Right, so Candace Silvers is a world-renowned healer and human behavioral expert sought out by clients the world over. A pioneer in energy healing, Candace created the Silvers Healing Academy to train students worldwide. She has currently trained healers in 50 countries on 6 continents, including countless doctors, nurses, and healthcare workers. I'm going to leave it there. Candice, I'm so excited to have you here, and I'm so excited for what is about to come here in this conversation. I've seen you, in some of your seminars, and I've been part of your group healing, and I thought it was phenomenal. But let's get started with you. Tell us a little bit more about you and what brought you to what you do today.
Oh my goodness. I think if I had to say what brought me here would be life. I was born into this. And people get excited when I say that, kind of like, uh, wow, you were born into this, but it wasn't good. It wasn't pretty. It didn't make sense. I was born in 1961 to a very movie star family in Beverly Hills. And the way I was born a vegetarian to a very meat-eating family. I have 4 sisters, and they were all very similar. And then there was me. So it was, oh, hello. Um, and so I would touch people and they would heal. And it was a very, when people would say they felt better, I thought they were making fun of me, or it was very hard to believe. I was, 6 and 10 and 15 years old. I knew things about people I found out after I would say them I wasn't supposed to know. I didn't know, everybody didn't know what I knew. So it took a while. I got grounded a lot by my mom for telling secrets, but they were secrets no one had told me. I didn't know. I just shared what was in front of me. So the first 25 years of my life were tough coming to terms with this gift God had bestowed upon me. And then I began to understand that it was something I was meant to pursue and learn to enjoy, because I found such value in when I would speak with someone, what would happen for them, or touch someone, what would happen for them. And then I began to travel to third world countries. Now I'm, rounding up to my 40th year coming up, but well, not really, maybe 38th, something like that. I think about how old my oldest son is, but it caused me to go looking to find similarity out there, so I didn't feel so alone. And I did. I found most people were charlatans. Most people were selling things. Most people wanted to manipulate you and get power over you. But few and far between, I found people who had what I had. Not what I had, but similarities. And we exchanged our ideas and our, like people I found in Bali or India or Thailand or Kenya or South Africa, Marrakesh, Tulum, Thailand, people, healers in Italy, in Prague, all different. The healers in Marrakesh are imams who are chanting over you. But if I told you what they did, I'm doing a retreat to Marrakesh in February, taking a group of people there to see what they do. It is outstanding. They chant over you and your blood stands up. It is crazy what God has gifted this whole globe and how little of it we are indoctrinated into the willingness to believe in. So little by little, I started as a human behavioral coach. I'd coach actors or Fortune 100 companies, 500 companies, husbands and wives, marriage counseling, parenting, and people were having such incredible success, they would come back for more. And so it sort of happened to me. I never set out to be a business, ever. I still am not. It's sort of, you called me. I mean, it just sort of happens. Gaia called me. I've never kind of set out to do anything.
And I was reflecting on that actually earlier today. I was thinking about the conversation, and I was thinking, here you are, you created something. You created something that wasn't there before. Like
I
you said,
didn't create it. I didn't create it. It came.
it
I
was
created
given.
the technology around it.
Right. But when I was thinking about it, I was thinking about myself, for example. So I'm using the energy healing modalities that I'm using. It's the emotion code, body code, and belief code, which I think they're fantastic. I really like them, but they're not mine. So I've, someone else created them, invented them, channeled them, and then taught it to me. And I was just reflecting on how interesting this journey is of actually realizing that you have a gift, and here you are needing to shape it into something. So, and I was just reflecting on how fascinating this is, how much trust you must have to know that this is really is a gift, and it's here to
It
bring so much goodness.
doesn't work that way. And I think if you talk to anyone who really truly is born with a gift, it doesn't work that way. It's sort of like a kitty with tape stuck to its paw. It's not like you wake up one day and say, I'm going to go get rich, or I'm going to go heal the world, or I'm going to go build a business, or I'm going to go take people all over the world and do retreats. It happens to you on a daily basis because something comes through you, you cannot stop. Then, yes, my work, I train psychiatrists, psychologists, doctors. I train psychiatrists in psychiatry, but my version, right? I train doctors in medicine, but my version.
Mm.
It's because it worked through me that I shared it with others. And because it worked on others, 10 and then 100 and then 1,000 and then, 10,000 and then 30,000 and then 50,000. But it was never an intention other than I cannot not.
Mm. And that is a driver, right? That really is a driver. So tell me. So here you are. You know that you have this gift and ability, and can you remember your first cases? How that went?
I wish I could. Sometimes this may be unbelievable to someone outside of a creator, but it's like saying, do you remember when you inseminated that child? You know what I mean? Like, do you remember when you fell asleep? Do you remember when you woke up? I was working on a gentleman maybe 6 months ago, and he said to me, I have skin cancer. And I said to him, and they're all live, you can go watch them. I think I was in Phoenix, I think, at the time. And I said, I don't know how to heal skin cancer. And I said, wait, give me a minute. And I tapped in and I went to where I go and I asked for help. And it came to me and I said, I'm going to try this. And you said you've been to my healings. You understand you can feel everything I'm doing. So you guys can confirm, right?
Mm.
So I went to his feet and I put my hands on his feet and I said, normally I go in through your feet to go in through your bone marrow to clean your blood, or some different ways to get into your liver or whatever. I said, but I'm going to go in through your feet and I'm going to go into your derma. So let me know if you feel that. And I did it. And he's like, oh my God, my skin is on fire and it's, tingling. And now, to be honest with you, I don't know. I never heard back from him. Did he go to the doctor and he doesn't have skin cancer anymore? That I don't know. But I know that I was able to heal his derma, heal it completely, or to what degree, I don't know. But I know that technology got created in the moment. How did I do that? If I think about it, it's like trying to watch yourself fall asleep. It happens beyond the intellect. It happens beyond our cultural norm. So I can't tell you how I do it. It's sort of, it does me. But it's a young man, his brother called me 4 weeks ago. He's a professional baseball player, 27 years old, out getting ready for a game, got hit in the back of the head by a baseball with no helmet on, and it crashed in his skull.
Mm.
Internal bleeding. They said he'd be with the hospital for a year and a half, put him on seizure medicine, like he was gone in a coma. And they called me, thank God, they called me within, I guess, hours. I started working on him. When I say started working on him, they're 15-minute healings. And I said to them, I need to see you again tomorrow. I never know if people think, they don't know about energy medicine. They don't know, does this woman just want my money? Does this work? But here was this adorable young boy laying in a coma in a hospital bed with his skull crashed in. I said, I have to see you tomorrow. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to stop the bleeding right now. So I work on him. The next day they come back. They say, okay, the bleeding stopped. Great. So here's what we're going to do today. And forgive me, I don't remember what day 2 was. Anyway, I think it was 5 days in a row, 4 days in a row. He got out of the hospital, weeks earlier than he was supposed to. And I think I did 4 one-on-one healings, 15-minute healings with him. And then he came to 2 small group healings. And 2 weeks later, they released him from the hospital, took him off all of his seizure medicine and said, you don't have to come back. We're done with you. Now, ask me how I did that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just know that I'm going to do it and it's going to work. And he's going to go have a great life and chase girls around and eventually get married and have kids and build a house and maybe become the #1 baseball player in the world.
But it's quite interesting, right? Because here you are with these really incredible abilities, powers, gifts, and you meet with people, like you say. First of all, like you say, right? I don't know. Can I do it? I don't know how to do it. But then you go inside, you channel, you get the answer, and then you know that it works, right? And you can see that, and you say, I did it. Basically, it's. I mean, it must be amazing, of course, but also,
I also teach people how to do it. I mean, I have a level 1 academy starting in 2 days.
yeah.
May be my last level 1, although today I'm feeling amazing, so maybe not. I keep thinking I'm going to be done and then I keep going. But once I develop it, then I can use the technology again and again and again. So I'm teaching people like level 1, I'm just giving you the modality. In 6 weeks, I give you the modality. You can use it, you can heal people. In level 2, I'm teaching you how to use feng shui, not where to put your furniture, but where to put your being and your physical body to cause the bunny ears to create more heat and power. Level 3, I'm teaching you how to use your mind as a steering wheel. So you're no longer a thought thinker. You're not being used by your mind anymore. You're now using your mind to get inside and cause you go inside the body to heal. Level 4, I'm teaching you how to do energetic surgeries in the body, how to take the brain apart and heal it and put it back together, how to take a knee apart or a hip apart or the lungs or a heart to heal it, to interact between the lungs and the the heart and the cardiac. Or once I create it, yeah, then it's here. It's like the spoon isn't here. Once the spoon's here, then it's here.
Yes, I am actually considering joining your academy. I've been.
Well, if you are, I would jump up and down and turn circles. I'd be so excited to train you, but you have to do it in 2 days because I will continue with my level 2, 3, and 4 because I won't leave them hanging, but I'm thinking about not doing another level 1. I am 63. I do have grandkids all over the country, and I'm going into my 40th year, and I just don't, I do have a commitment to put a healer in every home in the world, but I get inspired and to go be a grandma, and then I get inspired to stay and
Yeah,
teach again. So come take my academy in 2 days.
yeah. Maybe that's the push that I needed. So
We
I
all
want.
we
Sorry.
all need to push until the push becomes internal. And then it becomes eternal. And then you lose time. And then it's like I said, it's like a kitty with tape stuck to its paw. You cannot not. If you have to go bankrupt 6 times, you do. Because it's not about money and safety. It's about life and living. It's about getting to experience life while you're alive. Everybody's born and everybody dies.
Yeah, but not everybody lives.
But very few people,
Yeah.
really live while they're alive. Very few people. If you're thinking you're not living, you're repeating. So when we're at risk, we're actually alive, but we're trained to think of risk as needs of insurance instead of the vibration of, your endorphins kicking in and what really and truly is the essence of the fountain of youth. If you're risking yourself, your body is creating new cells and new blood and endorphins and cellular memory at a level 3 and 5-year-olds are. But we don't realize that. We're looking for the fountain of youth externally, but it isn't. We have all the tools we've ever needed. We just haven't used them.
I just want to just check because okay, so I just got a message from Teresa to say that there is a message on the chat. So so someone says here, we've had so many miracles with Candice. My daughter hurt her back at dance and couldn't stand up straight for 24 hours. After 15 minutes healing, my daughter was doing headstands in that same night. And yeah, so that is.
I know who you're talking about because that was yesterday. So that woman called me yesterday. And yeah, she was in dance class, this adorable little, I don't know, she's 8 years old, and picked up another little girl in her back. She heard it pop. She's in intense pain. So I worked on her yesterday. That same little girl, the parents called me, I'm guessing 4, 5, 6 months ago. They said her daughter had broken her nose. So they got on Zoom, the dad on one side and the mom on the other side. There's this little 8-year-old with a broken nose going to the side.
No.
And I fixed her nose with her parents watching on Zoom. Her parents got to see her nose actually get corrected. Well, I was on Zoom, not physically touching her, but touching her, moving her nose. Yeah, it's really, you should definitely not do something this miraculous, right? Like, why doesn't every human being want to learn this?
Yeah.
It's to be the doer of the deed. I mean, you think who gets the most out of it? The mom and dad that didn't have to spend thousands of dollars at the doctor getting her nose fixed, the little girl who didn't have to go through pain. But it was me who got to be part of this miraculous, and I'm very clear I didn't do. I'm sitting with my hands on a computer. I think they live in Utah. I don't know where I was because I'm always traveling. And I put my hands on the computer. Well, you could feel me right now, right? You feel me in your head?
Hey, I'll need to tune in. There's a few things running around here, but
anybody watching right now can feel me. Anybody watching right now could feel me in their head because this is all I do. If there is this audio or is this visual?
Visual.
Okay, so right now you can feel me. I mean, there's a very small percentage of people that can't, but I'm in your temples right now. Mm-hmm. So whether you're feeling heat or tingling or pressure, maybe you're feeling coolness. It depends. Do you have eye trouble or do you have headaches, or is your head just fine, is how you're going to feel it. But this is all I did for this little girl, just like this. And I set her nose. Mm. Now, it's not always, people get a mistake that it's a one and done. It's not, someone says she could feel it in her head. It's not always a one and done. Sometimes if I'm working on someone with cancer, I'm working on them 3 days a week for months, right? Because they're going through chemo and radiation, and I'm working on side effects, and I'm working on, so it's not like, they're medical miracles, but they're, another one says she feels pressure in her head. Yay. But I keep doing it. So, people get confused that my work is a one and done. Rome wasn't built in a day. It's not a one and done, but it is a huge difference with every healing. But sometimes if I'm working on someone who has, let's just say, Oh, this is the gentleman who just said that. Oh, I'm going to keep working because he's just signed up. He's going to start in 2 days. And I heard that you're a Coast Guard. So you're our first Coast Guard, Chris. So I got very excited when I heard that we're going to train a Coast Guard. Isn't that cool? I think that's the coolest thing ever. I've trained doctors and nurses all over the world. I've never trained a Coast Guard. So do you mind if I keep healing while I'm...
No, go for it. With pleasure.
So yeah, there will be a remarkable difference with each one. So I was saying, I was working on this gentleman who's actually an osteopath in Europe, I think in London, but I'm not sure. And this was a couple of days ago, and he came on, he said, this is my third healing with you. He said, but after the first healing, I was in pain for 5 days. And I said, yeah, people don't understand what healing actually feels like. It's a process, just like when you go to the gym and you work out, you're going to feel your body going through it for 3 or 4 days if you had a really good heavy workout. If you went to the gym and you talk to people and ate a candy bar, you're not going to feel it. But if you had a strong workout, you're going to feel it as your body is growing from the workout. Well, my healing modality is really, really, really powerful. So you're going to feel the effects. Okay, I'm going to set this. So I'm just going to set this healing to help more people since I see that people are speaking about it. Yes, ma'am. Oh, I love people in service. They say, yes, ma'am. I love kind, good people. So anyway, because he's an osteopath, right? He knew and understood the physical body and the energy and the movement. It didn't scare him. But sometimes I'll work on someone and they'll say I was in pain for 5 days and they'll think I caused pain instead of that's what healing process looks like.
Yeah, I get that sometimes as well, and I also, of course, tell people about the processing days and try to reassure them that this is what the body needs to do as the energy shifts. So basically, someone comes to you. I'm guessing that you don't necessarily need to know what is wrong with them, right?
I think that if it's a one-on-one, I want to know very specifically what's wrong, and I'll physically move your body around and go through different areas. And I'll ask you, do you feel heat, tingling, or pressure? And you'll tell me where. And if I'm working, let's say, in your prostate, but you feel it in your kidneys, I know that there's a direct connection, which medicine hasn't started to look into yet. So when I train my Harvard doctors or my ER doctors or, those kind of doctors, I'm training them in medicine where they're like, why haven't we learned this yet? So it's not just the modality, but it's how to use the modality and decipher from the modality and read and listen to the human body to understand where to take the modality. So when it's a one-on-one, I work quite differently. When it's a small group healing, which you're paying $35 and it's 30 minutes and you're standing in there with, 10 or 20 other people, I have you write in the chat window what your ailment is. And then I read the chat window and I set my intention to each one of those ailments healing. And it works every single time. But just like falling asleep, how does it work? I'm not smart enough to know. I don't want to be smart enough to know. I want this to be smarter than me. I want to grow up into it. I want to be the student of this gift. I do not want to be the manipulative, egoic conniver of making something off of it. I constantly am finding ways to, I have global events. In 2001, I started doing something called Free Fridays when 9/11 happened. And I did that for 9 years. Every Friday I had a free class. Then I started these global events, maybe 2015, 2016, I don't know. I don't remember. And once a month, I do free events around the world. I don't ask you if you have money or who you voted for, or if you're a pedophile. Just ask you if you need help, and I help you. Because we're all the graduating class of 2004, right? This is the 100-year graduating class. We're all on this planet together. The people that will be born in 100 years, we won't know them. Well, It'll just be us again, but forget, that's another conversation.
Completely different conversation. I was wondering, so people, you help people, you work with people, with all kinds of ailments and challenges and stuff. And I'm wondering, I mean, is there something that you can tell me about, what causes people to be ill in a certain way? Is it something that, I mean, for me, I definitely believe that there is an emotional root cause. There's stress. There's basically living out of alignment that causes things to. Well, I'm talking about the messages, right? If
Well,
you
this is a completely other conversation and exactly the same conversation.
okay,
But it's like, do you want to walk in the front door or the back door? It's still the same house, because a human body from inception, from before inception, is coded. And you have to be able to read that code, and you have to understand the human body, and then you have to understand the mechanisms of the human body, and then you have to understand the battery pack, you have to understand the tape player, you have to understand the body within an inch of itself, the human body, its whole capacity. Like if you're going to space, you need a spacesuit. If you're going to Earth, you need a bodysuit. The soul gets housed. It's not the solar system, it's the soul hour system. A piece of that soul hour system gets torn off like that cookie sheet and sent down into a human body that gets made through the mothership and fathership. That's how it comes earthbound. When you take my level 1 academy, I'll teach you more about that. The brain is the plumbing system. Like if you want to turn on your water in your bathroom, you need a plumbing system. So the brain is a coagulated form of atoms that have multiplied and divided, cells that have multiplied and divided with cellular memory that coagulate together in a deep enough form. And what is a cell? But cell has cellular memory. Cells divide because they want to know themselves back. And that cellular memory is like a magnet on your refrigerator. Magnets attract, they go to what they know. And so cellular cells stay with one another in order to, it attracts to what it knows. So when a cell is by itself, it's nothing to the world, the dimension of the world we live in. But when enough cells coagulate together, they formulate enough memory to create that chip. Just think like we have personalities that comes from our personal reality that we came earthbound with the coagulated formation of that cellular memory, coagulated in a form large enough to create, let's say in this case, the plumbing system, the brain. Once we're born, what the room looked like, how mom was feeling when we came out, whether the birth was difficult or easy, we're predisposed in our personal reality to see, like we want to jump off cliffs and climb mountains, or we want to sit alone in a cool room and read how is that birth going to affect each one of those personal realities? Starts the system in a boundless formation of how it triggers itself back in its knowledge of reading something. So the first time something happens, it's just the matrix. It's just no thing. It's just an act of life. When it happens a second time, something gets cogged in the wheel that goes, I've seen that before, but it doesn't know what it is. And it doesn't say I've seen that before because it doesn't know what I've seen or it or before is, but it has a magnetic attraction. Like I know that. Once it happens a third time, it goes, I remember that. It gets put on our history book in the shelf behind us that begins to denote that felt good, I want more, or that doesn't feel good, I don't want that. And it starts to react according to your own personality, whether it's friend or foe. The brain and its DNA, which I think we all know now is a song, it's not a truth. It shifts according to the kaleidoscope of what's going on in front of you, that it moves itself according to friend or foe. It begins, and I'm talking about in the first 2 days of our life, right? It begins to associate this is what this is and that's what that is. And then, by a few weeks when I cry, I get fed. So I cry because I get fed. Then things start to happen we all raise our children so differently, doing the best we can, even if we are doing the best we can. But still, you're nervous when your child eats, or you're excited when your child eats, or you just eat when your child eats. That's raising three different kinds of children. That, let's say we do the same thing with our child all the time because we now know that's the right way to raise a baby. Because when your surroundings never move, you can spend your time on yourself because you feel safe enough to know what's going on. But think about it, an adult. If there were always earthquakes, you would never spend time on yourself because you'd be so worried about your surroundings. But if day was day and night was night and lunch was lunch and dinner was dinner, then you would spend time on yourself because those surroundings would make sense. So for a child, when something goes wrong, let's say you're 18 months old and your dad comes home every night at 6 o'clock, gives you a kiss, gives you a bath, puts you to bed, and tonight dad didn't come home. Think of a tape player. For the period of time dad doesn't come home, you know yourself as the next indicated action occurring in your life because it got started and it runs in order. As it doesn't happen, some part of you goes into a space of beyond what you know. You don't even know what to know, but you're nowhere. When dad finally comes home, you've made up something is wrong. You then take that fear of what am I right now? You put it back, and it can be under your breastplate or your shoulder or under your liver. And you put it in what we call the safe, and you replace a piece of that spirit, a piece of that whole, that piece of that you replace it with an ideology or an intention or a piece of intellectual identification that says, here's how I behave to get that never to happen again. And that begins to become your mode of transportation. But just like falling asleep, you don't say, I'm now going to fall asleep. It happens to you. When it happens 3, 4, 7, 12 times, we mistakenly identify it as true. The mind now starts to operate in its coagulated form as a truth that happened in those first few years of your life. And that's how it sees things. Well, if you're always anxious when you eat, because mom was always anxious when she ate, food is not your friend. Food is your enemy. If you're always happy and comfortable and feeling at peace and rest and in a meditative state when you're eating, food is healing you. But that's a meditative state of shift that takes place. That is not an intellectual choice. Like, I'm going to be happy from now on when I eat, because underneath that thought is a reality you can't get to from here. It's my job to take you there as a transformational guide, but you can't get on that bridge beyond what you know by yourself. Like, I can't get on the bridge myself unless I know enough to know when I'm in that state to get to a meditative state in this moment, connect up. This may be a little bit advanced and I may be going too fast, but it is the answer to the question. You can transform in the moment if you know how. Anyway, that's what my classes are about, are teaching you how to do that. But healing doesn't just take place because I pick up my hands, or I can heal you with my feet or my eyes or my back or my elbows too. But that is one form of healing, and it's a massive form of healing to come and have a healing with me. But my human behavioral classes, I think, are far more powerful. When you speak to someone and you watch their mind shift in the present moment and they see the same situation differently, but it isn't an ideology. You haven't changed their mind. They become more aware. They've seen beyond what they know. To me, that's the most profound healing on the planet. And that's why I have been teaching that class for almost 40 years, the human behavioral classes. Because you watch people's lives completely alter when they are made aware through their own direct experience that there's something going on beyond what they currently believe to be true, and there's a relief you watch happen to their body. Their molecular structure shifts, the muscles in their face change. They alter, and that's healing.
And that's interesting for me. Sometimes some of my clients, I see that they believe in the illness. Now, of course, they experience it. It's there. It's completely real. But there is also an emotional part to that.
Well, part of what I have to do, and it's really hard when people come to me with little children with cancer, let's say, but they have to see the cancer as a gift. And the first time they come to me, I don't go, we're going to see the cancer as a gift today. But it is my job to get them to see that it came to teach them something, because the minute they stop resisting, it stops persisting. Then the modality can go to work. And I use the modality as a shoehorn, if you will, to get them to believe in the unbelievable, so that the word has more meaning, so that the intention of that invention can deepen. And I think hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people I've worked with have gone from stage 4 to nothing. Not always in one session, sometimes in one session, sometimes in a year. Little girl, they were going to remove 3 vertebrae in her back at 15 years old and put her in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. They chose me, which I would never tell someone, choose me instead of medicine. I would never say that, but they did.
Yeah.
They didn't remove her vertebrae. They said that it was the kind of rare bone cancer that would never go away and would never shrink. The best they could do was to kill it at the spine. She would always be in pain, and they were worried it would go into her lungs, because that's what that kind of cancer does. But she was on chemo and radiation, and the worst red devil chemo that there is. I mean, when I met her, she was just living at the toilet with so many sores on her mouth and a blood clot over her port, and her legs hurt and hurt. I mean, just, it was horrendous. I worked with her 3 days a week. We got rid of the blood clot. We got rid of, her feet didn't hurt. All the sores went away. All the sores in her mouth went away. While she was on chemo, I would heal her so the side effects wouldn't harm as much. We got the cancer to actually shrink and move away from the spine, which is unheard of. The doctor said was not possible. She then went and played basketball. She wasn't in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. But that didn't happen in 3 months, right? That took time. But the mother came and took my human behavioral classes and began. And the mother is now in level 3 with me, because, right, when you see your child going through a miracle like that, you want to learn how to do it and help your own child. But they had to see the illness. They had to see illness as part of their life's journey to grow them, not this thing in their way of the idea they had that their life should be.
And I think that's a really big step, because we are so attached to our own, beliefs and of how things should be. But at what point then do you move from say the 15 minutes healing to actually having these behavioral conversations?
I invite everyone to it. I think, my biggest problem is I'm just way too advanced. It's just scary for people. Most people, you say, I can heal you with my hands, and they're like, go away, freak. So it's not I don't have a bullhorn or a megaphone. It's just an invitation, right? And God finds a way. I don't. God's like, here's a TV show, do it. Okay. People like you call me and go, be on my podcast. I go, okay. I didn't ask you who you were or how many people follow you. I just said, okay.
Yeah.
The people that are supposed to hear it, hear it. I've been doing this for 40 years. When I was first teaching this kind of work, I was just telling people, say, what do you do for a living? And say, I teach you how to denail your foot from the floor so you can move around the cabin of your life freely. 40 years ago, I was teaching people that there wasn't a there. Today, everybody knows there isn't a there. I was the first person to talk about, like, from impossible to I'm possible. And then, like, 5 years later, AIDS used it. I was like, okay, so we're all in this together. We're all working together. I'm not the only force on the planet. Obviously, it doesn't just rain in one city. It rains all over the world. There isn't gold in just one part of the world. How do we bring it to the forefront? How do we involve people into believing? Well, there's a lot of people that aren't ready yet, and that's not what this lifetime is about. And that has to be okay too.
Yeah, we know, right? They will just come back, and that's okay, because someone, people needs to come back.
Well, we will too. We don't get out of here so easy. We don't get out of here alive, but we have to come back again. We just won't have the same parents or the same name or be dropped on our head the same way. But those atoms, you can't get rid of a cell. It's just going to multiply and divide.
Yeah. Well, I'm still working on, what I'm doing here this life, but Yes, I'm excited that I will get to come back.
Kind of a waste of time, but it's fun to do. It's, what am I doing here? How about if it's in front of you, it's meant for you, do it. I tell everyone to wear the Nike hat. Just do it. Just do it.
Just
Thinking takes too much time.
yeah, well, this is very timely for me, actually. I mean, I'm exactly in that place now where I'm kind of thinking, where do I go? But um, so that's definitely giving me a lot of things to think about. But I want to ask you really about people who, well, of course, like we say, right? They're the non-believers and the people that will never come to either of us, and fine, that's fine. But I'm talking about the people that do come to you, and you know how. I mean, some people. So we have three people, right? The one that don't believe at all, the one that believe everything, and the one in the middle that kind of they're on the fence. And so what kind of conversations, what do you say to these doubters and stuff? I guess also because
I
you
don't. I have I have four
know,
sisters. One of my sisters, who I really admire, said to me and meant it, Candace, I know you can't heal people with your hands. You know you can't heal people with your hands. And stop telling people that you can heal them with your hands because you're a laughing stock.
no.
That's my sister who loves me. And I know she loves me. And
Yeah.
it's 2024. And she's a very five sensory, her ego, it's just if her political friends told her it's not real, it's not real. That, there's no thought for yourself. And that's her journey. And there's nothing wrong with that journey. And her journey isn't better than mine, and mine's not better than hers. We just don't meet for coffee once a week, right? It's just, there's nothing wrong with having a difference of opinion. There's something wrong with harming someone with your opinion. And people that are naysayers and completely in disbelief, 100% will never believe. They get a disease, and I'm the first person they call.
I love that. So tell me, share with us, I mean, there's so many stories I know of people that you've helped and people you've healed. Um, is there anything, I mean, people say the people that don't necessarily understand this kind of work, they will say, for example, you can't heal the really serious, difficult conditions like cancer or MS or arthritis or all of these kind of things. But here you are, and you've done it all. How what was maybe a case or two that was very challenging, but you walked in it and it was, of course, a success.
I mean, I've got 100,000 of them. I don't know. There was a guy
Mm.
that came to me, 6'5", like a Navy SEAL, um, big man, like buff. And he was in a car accident in a Tesla. He was in the back seat, and they hit the wall at 100 miles an hour, and he went into a coma. He came to me about a year and a half later. He had already had stem cell and all of, he was back to normal, if you could call it normal, lived in daily pain, but he had a 2-inch indention in his right pec from the seatbelt. And you can see it's live from maybe a year and a half ago, something, maybe a year ago, I don't know. And he comes and he lays on my table here in Austin, and in about, I don't know, 15 minutes, I rebuilt his chest without touching him. People come to me that are supposed to have their hips replaced, and I just work on them. Sometimes they have to come 10 times. Sometimes they only come once. Sometimes they're in pain for 5 days when they leave while it's moving back, and sometimes they shift in the moment. Every body is different. And that's the hardest part I have, is how you educate people when to come, how often to come, what they need, because we're so used to selling each other bullshit that we've lost faith and belief, which is why I created this in a way that it's user friendly, that it is visceral, that it is not me talking at you, but you actually having a direct experience. You can feel the heat or the tingling. People that watch this podcast later will still feel in that 15 minutes or whatever while I was healing people, The people that watch it next week, next month, and next year will still feel
Hmm.
the healing, because there's no such thing as time. It doesn't, you can't water down a blessing, and time doesn't have anything to do with the blessing. So, I mean, I could tell you last week, about 10 days ago, I was in Santa Barbara, and a lady came to me with her left breast 5 times the size of her right breast, hard as a rock. You couldn't even, there was no nipple in there. It was stuck inside the cancer, and it was a fast, radical growing cancer. You can watch it. It was 10 days ago. It's on Facebook and Instagram. I think I melted the cancer 30 or 40 or 50% in 30 minutes with my hands. Do I try to convince people of that? No. Are there people listening like, she's so full of shit? That's okay. It has to be okay. It has to be okay for people to have an opinion. Some idiot wrote an article about me years ago and called me a cult leader. So for a month I was a cult leader. Like, it has to be okay for hurt people to hurt people. We have to stand up anyway. We have to serve anyway. We have to be the light in the room, because there's not enough light right now.
Yeah, that's for sure.
We have to be willing. We have to be willing to hold the dis-ease to teach them to hold the dis-ease. We can't be teaching them to do things if we can't hold the illness as a gift. How can they hold the illness as a gift? We have to be the leaders by example. And it has to be, someone that says, you hired actors to, I'm like, I hired actors to entertain you for free. I don't even know you, right? That has to be okay too. And then when someone comes, says, this is my husband and he has cancer and he doesn't believe this at all, I go, lay down. I love naysayers. As soon as you feel better, we'll talk. And we get started, and he lays there like this, and I crack a couple jokes. Thank God my father was a comedian and taught me how to do that. And he relaxes because he sees I'm not trying to change his mind. He starts to feel the heat or the pressure in his body. His back starts to feel better or whatever. The doctor tells him his cancer is half gone or whatever. He comes back the next time and goes, thank you. But it has to be okay for him to come in the way he came in.
Yeah.
My ego can't need him to be a certain way for me to feel a certain way to help him. I have to serve everyone.
Yeah. And what is your, maybe you don't, but do you have a preferred way of working with people, like face to face versus virtually?
I mean, I wish everybody would fly here, and I do. I have people that'll fly in from India or Mexico, or people fly here from all over the world. I try to go all over the world. I'll be in Peru in 3 weeks. I mean, in a 3-month period, I'll have been in 4 states and 2 countries. I do my best to move around a lot. I'm supposed to be in Europe in November. I'm still deciding if I have it in me to make the trip, but I'd love to go have some pasta in Italy. But if you've got a phone or you've got a computer, if you've got, let's get started. If you don't have any money, let's do it for free at the global events. If you've got $35, let's do a small group healing. If you want to fly in and see me in person, let's just get started.
Yeah. I mean, I was part of your small group healing a few months ago, and I can definitely tell you that there was a shift in the way that I was feeling. And I remember also that time you were telling us about someone who was a family. I think it was an Iranian family that got you
They have
to.
the woman dead. Yeah, she hadn't died yet, but her platelets were at 0 from Iran. Yeah.
Yeah.
They said, we won't give you any more platelets. It had been days, and her body had swollen up 4 times the size. And the son, I told him, because I always, it's like, please come back, please come back. I can't do it in one session, right? It's a small group healing. I got 20 other people on. So I said, on day 1, put it at the bottom of her feet. On day 2, put it over her liver. On day 3, put it at the bottom of her feet. On day 4, put it over her liver. On day 5, put it at her mouth so I can get in her mouth. And a week later, she was home and fine. Never gave her any platelets, but her platelets went back to normal.
Yeah. Well, this is, this is really the purpose of this kind of a podcast, is to really bring this kind of stories to people's homes, because we are so conditioned to believe that if you have something, you have to go to the doctors, and you have to have pills, and you have to have surgeries. And I've heard of so many different stories of people that heal themselves naturally. And I mean, you're definitely a magician with everything that you do, with the help of God, of course. And it is
It's not
possible.
the help of God. God is using me. It's not the help of God. He's just using me. I'm
Okay.
not. Think
Right.
of think of what nun. We spell nun N-U-N, but it's really N-O-N-E. Think of a monk. A monk is really an ankh, nothing.
Hmm.
We surrender our lives, but not as an egoic, cool thing to say in 2024, but a real action to surrender your life. And it's a daily activity, it's an hourly activity, it's a moment by moment activity. And it's not for everyone, just like everyone shouldn't be a surgeon or a gardener. I mean, not everything is for everyone, but whatever it is you're doing, do it fully.
And actually, surrendering is, yeah, it's hard, right? It's the opposite of listening to your ego, which is, or listening to our ego, which of course is very loud and trying to say a lot of things. Candice, there's just one more comment from Pam. Hi, Pam. Great interview. The power doesn't need to listen to the naysayers. Yes, exactly. We are here, and we just really want to spread the word, because we all have something. We all know someone that has something. And I always tell people, when I just started, I was so excited about healing and helping people heal and all of that. And I went to this Facebook group, and the first conversation I had after, I was like, let's heal. This woman said that she was very angry with me, because she said it took her such a long time to convince her family and doctors that there was something wrong with her. And how can I now come and say, actually, we can heal? She was really, she was not buying into to all of my nonsense.
We're all on our own journey, and there is no journey that's better than another journey. We're all on our own journey, and every journey is sacred. And people say, how do you know who you're supposed to heal? And I say, if they show up in front of me, I'm supposed to heal them. Those that are on a different journey won't see me, and those that are on a journey similar to mine will. And it's not my egoic job to go convince people. There are many doctors and many hospitals that send their patients, their cancer patients, to me because they've heard about me, and their patients have mysteriously gotten better. And there's a doctor now in Utah, who is not Utah, yeah, um, Idaho, who is sending her cancer patients to me. And I keep sending them back with, their cancer gone, liver cancer, lung cancer, spine cancer, and I'm just waiting for a hospital to invite me to come and heal like 100 of their cancer people in a 2-week period, where, because hospitals have to give their evidence to the mainstream hospitals, and they're all, which is how they find out if there's a pandemic, or they find out if there's a cure, or they find, because they talk to each other. I'm just desperate that a hospital calls me and says, can we have you for 2 weeks? Come and just heal everyone on the ward. Not that, one healing is enough, but it's enough to have all the blood work and the CAT scans and the be different, right? Where they don't have to say, believe us. They just have to send the evidence in, like, look at this CAT scan, look at this blood work, look at this MRI, look at this. Where other hospitals are like, how are you getting those results?
Mm.
And, I've trained hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people all over the world, where I just say to everyone, go find hospitals are like, how do we get a Silvers modality healer? But when God's ready, when God's ready. In the meantime, you have to come and take my academy in 2 days, because if it's the last one I teach, which today I'm feeling like it won't be, but yesterday I was sure it would be. I'm going through my own medical stuff, and I'm going through my own age, and I'm going through my own grandma-ness, and I'm going, so, but let me train you so that you can have this kind of access. You have great access in other areas. Don't you want more access?
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing for me is that I want to bring this message of natural healing to the world. And in my own practice, I sometimes get frustrated that sometimes it takes long. I mean, I see people, my preferred ways, over 10 sessions or more. But you see people for 15 minutes, and I'm not saying, like you said before, right? Sometimes it takes a lot longer than that. But if there is a possibility to at least try, or at least to start, quicker, then that's definitely something that I want
Well,
that too.
it's a 6-week academy. In week 3, I show you miracle videos and pictures, and you're going to see 50-mile-an-hour windstorms inside of my house, and light shows inside of my house, and birds that come all day, weeks and months and years at a time, all over the world, wherever I am, and cut flowers dancing in a vase, and glass tables that break without breaking. And you get to see what the multidimensional world looks like. Pictures of me missing my hands, missing, and I'm not moving fast. I'm holding still,
Hmm.
the vibration is so high, the camera's not picking it up. And you get to start seeing how simple it is to reside where your intellects have no invitation.
Yes, this yes. I've listened to one of your talks about the different modalities, modules, sorry, and they sound fascinating. I definitely want to be part of that. That
There's
that
a difference between I want to be part of that. Oh, there's one of my nurses who just wrote something. One,
Wonderful interview. You will see miracles and more miracles if you take her academy or retreats.
she
Thank you.
just finished level 4 with me. She's a scrub nurse for an eye doctor. Um,
Yeah.
there's a difference between I want to do it and I cannot not do it. I want to do it as a cultural, egoic, suffering terminology. I cannot not. That double negative that I failed all my 7th grade English classes because I refused not to write double negatives.
Mm,
A double negative is where when a child is under the wheel of a car, you do not call 911. You pick up the fucking car.
mm.
When you cannot not, you find out who you are. As long as you can or you can't, it's just another Groundhog Day. Risk yourself in a worthy cause. It's worth your life.
Like I said before, it's very timely messages. I'm soaking them in.
That's the difference between a megaphone at the edge of a freeway and an invitation.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Candice, thank you so much for being here with me today. I mean, I'm in awe and I'm inspired, and I believe that everyone listening will seek you out in any of the ways that you work with people. You've been incredible. Someone is also saying, I lived with a dull, aching pain for 5 years. I am now pain free after just 15 minutes small group sessions last week with Candice. You see, this is keep coming.
Now that's how I go to sleep at night. That most people want to be paid. They check their bank account and they go to sleep. I get those kind of calls. That, that, that to me is not a life I'm gonna have. That's a life I'm having. I never heard that gentleman say that before, so that really touched me. This is a doctor, Erica Shen. She's just graduated level 3 with me. She had sores all over her face, horrible, and she's drop dead gorgeous, blonde, like model, drop dead gorgeous, and she had like horrible sores everywhere. And I worked in her liver and got rid of her sores on her face, detoxed her, and now she just doesn't have to wear all that makeup and all that cover up. And and then they come and they're like, wait a minute, what? And so then they come and take my academy, and then they, and now I've just trained doctors and nurses just on here. There's a nurse, Mary. She's a nurse in a hospital in, I always get it wrong, Dallas or Houston. I think Dallas, I don't know. She's an ER nurse. And she hospital doesn't know she's doing it, but she's in level 4 and she uses my modality every day on patients that are dying or that can't get the veins to work, or she'll use the modality and change their lives.
Yes, I feel what you said. They can't not. Don't, yeah, my English is not going to work with that, but yes.
Because it's not English. It's not English. It's not knowledge. It's knowledge. It's here.
Well, I'm glad that I have 2 days to find a way to join the academy. But
Me,
Candice,
me.
I'll just say to everyone viewing, watching, listening, of course, all of your information will be in the show notes, and people, of course, welcome to find a way to come and walk with you and experience your healing for themselves and for their loved ones. Candice, thank you so much for being here with us today. Thank you.
Been a fun joy.
Thank you.